This is Fieldston, a private neighborhood full of mansions with its own private security. But it's inside the Bronx, the New York City borough with the most poverty and crime. So I visited to find out if the economic divide was causing tension.
Well, there's a lot of racism up there, you know.
And if the fast and dangerous nature of the Bronx was seeping into Fieldston.
This is the downside of this neighborhood is the car theft.
It's just three borders, right? It's the Kingsbridge, the low-level area. You're off the hill. How your worker be? But when you up the hill, and you on that hill, on the Henry Hudson Parkway, you over there on that side, you getting money. Fieldston is the bag within Riverdale. There's already a multi-million-dollar neighborhood within the confines of Riverdale. Riverdale has its own millionaires, and we all go to Stop and Shop together. That's what's crazy.
I started my investigation in Kingsbridge. I wanted to find out what they thought of their upscale neighbors.
Our neighborhood is called Kingsbridge. It's part of this neighborhood, which is more working class and more socially mixed. Riverdale is an upper middle class neighborhood, super white, with all of the mental and social diseases that come with that.
Like how so?
Well, there's a lot of racism up there, you know, and it's riddled with Zionism, which is a poisonous way of thinking.
The Riverdale area is more quiet. The streets are cleaner. Kingsbridge, it's like, you know, I mean, there's nice shopping areas. People are friendly and stuff. You want to choose a location, it would be you want to move to Riverdale. And over here, you got the project, so people that gravitate towards this area are usually negative. When you get into a certain price bracket, and your money gets up, you can move to good areas.
After receiving mixed responses, I talked with Anthony, someone who's lived in the area for the last 15 years.
Your experience, like, did the two, like, neighborhoods mix, I guess, like Kingsbridge and Riverdale? Do you feel like...
Nah, all right, so there's discrimination and there's haterade. Like, I have other rich friends and people I know from, you know, Fieldston. They have a much different feeling toward the people about here. They're cool with it. They're like, oh, it's nice. It's like go down there once in a blue, but those are the people that are straight from their house to the restaurant back to the city. They don't really walk outside of Van Cortlandt Park. They're not interacting with this neighborhood. You know, you deal with, like, Fieldston has its own incorporated small town village. They have their own tax code. They're in their own game. They have their own security force. So before the police is there, if you're in Fieldston for 5 seconds, there's gonna be a security car that comes over here and be like, "Can I help you? You not from here? Don't come here."
It looked like our trip into the Fieldston Riverdale area was going to be more difficult than expected, but I was still determined to find out if the rumors of racism were true.
Riverdale's biggest problem is they got weird racisms. They're cool until it's, you know, 10 o'clock, and then they're kind of Karen mode, like, what are you doing on this block? Like, you cool on Broadway, but don't migrate your ass up this hill. What are you doing past here? The cops, if you see their strategic positioning, you can run around all the regular parts of Kingsbridge, no problem. When you start going into that hill, you cannot walk those blocks like twice back and forth. Once you go past the block and you come back down, all right. There's going to be security force. There's going to be somebody harassing you or the police. So there is that racism.
We made our way up to Fieldston, and once there, I saw a sign for Villanova Heights. We walked up the street. I was amazed by the size of these homes. But at the same time, it was clear that we weren't welcome.
Yeah, I feel like everyone is looking at us.
Everyone's like watching.
Yeah, we look a little out of place, I think. I feel like we could get kicked out at any moment right now.
So far, this neighborhood was the greenest neighborhood I've seen in my 24 years living in New York City, but it was also one of the most empty. But after some time walking, we ended up finding a teacher to interview.
Yeah, how's teaching here?
I love teaching here. We get a diverse population. There are some people that live in the neighborhood and walk, but we also have students coming in from Manhattan, even downtown. We have students coming from Westchester, even New Jersey. Yeah, I mean, the neighborhood of Riverdale is often jokes like, really, oh, I live in the Bronx. Oh, really? Where? Riverdale. That's not the Bronx. You know, it's a bit of a joke because it's not considered real Bronx because it's so green. We have Van Cortlandt Park. It's the largest park in the city system. From here, in about 15 minutes, you could be walking in forest. Like, beautiful, and there's marshlands and ecosystems you can explore. In another 15 minutes, you can be overlooking the Hudson River. But I will tell you the one thing we have to watch out, this is the downside of this neighborhood, is the car theft. They just love to pick your cars off the street. And that wasn't true when I first moved here, but that's been true of the last few years. And a whole bunch of drag racing. There have been Riverdale Avenue it started during the pandemic at night. There was just drag racing and crashed cars, and so it's weird. That's just like it doesn't feel like it belongs in Riverdale, but hey, we know we have a little bit of a spicy side too. I guess.
I'm starting to see that. Oh my god.
But other than that, I feel very safe. I mean, my daughter also can walk around I have no problem with her walking around in the neighborhood and going to shops on Riverdale Avenue and meeting up with friends and things like that.
How long have you been in Riverdale for?
My whole life, so I'm 24.
Oh, that's awesome. Nice. What's the culture like in Fieldston from what you've noticed?
I honestly feel like whenever I'm walking here, I don't really see a lot of other people. I feel like I'm usually kind of by myself.
Mm-hmm.
I know someone who is a resident, and they always told me a story of someone who owns a house here but only comes for the holidays. So, I don't know if that's true, but just something I've heard.
How is it living in Fieldston?
I love the neighborhood. It's the best of both worlds. It's close to the city, as people say, close to transportation, close to highways. You have schools here, private schools, very good public schools.
A lot of the streets are pretty empty. Are you allowed to park like on the sidewalk here?
If you're a resident, you need a resident sticker. This is actually private property. So it's the Fieldston Property Owners Association, something along those lines.
Have you ever had any issues with like security or there being private roads?
I've not had any issues when I'm walking, but if I'm like driving through, sometimes people ask me like, oh, do you live here? One time, like I pulled over to like take a phone call, and they were like, "Oh, you have to like keep it moving."
Wow.
Yeah.
And once a year, they close the streets for like a weekend. They'll close it Friday night, and then it won't reopen until Monday morning. And they have security posted at every entrance and exit, and you're only allowed in if you're a resident.
With the security, does that make it feel more safe, or is it like a...
Through the neighborhoods, because it's so quiet, especially now that the days are shorter. Because sometimes when I walk through here, there's no one else. So it's good to have security at least checking around, but I feel safe.
Sometimes for the shock value, people will say, where are you from? And I tell them I'm from the Boogie Down.
Yeah, the Boogie Down
Boogie
Bronx.
Down Bronx. I've been here since 1987. I know, I only look 39.
How have you seen like the neighborhood change within those years?
People will age out and go where they go. And then younger people will come in. First-time home buyers, they'll start with a condo or a co-op, get their foot in the door, save up for a couple of years. Hopefully they turn a profit on their apartment. Then they move on to bigger and better things. That's the goal, right? That's the American dream.
Fieldston was a beautiful, quiet, and isolated neighborhood. I can see wanting to live here to avoid the hustle and bustle of the city. However, I can also see how its isolated nature could breed closed-mindedness. If you enjoyed, consider subscribing for more videos like this about New York City.